Welcome, this is Gunter with IVE Media, ivemedia.org. In the following is the public hearing at the Wednesday, May 12th Jackson County Commissioners meeting for the Proclamation to Open Oregon.
We will now move into our public hearing for today, which is a public hearing to allow for comment on the Jackson County Board of Commissioners proclamation for Jackson County's opposition to the continued restrictions related to the coronavirus emergency imposed on the residents and businesses of Jackson County. We'll get staff if there's any report or anything to say prior to opening the public hearing.
I'll just need to read the rules of the public hearing, Mr. Chair.
Okay, please do.
Sure, the rules for the conduct of the public hearing today are: only the chairperson or a member of the Board of Commissioners may question a speaker. There will be no interruption of the speaker from the audience and no debates on the floor. Applause is not permitted. The speaker may criticize a proposal, the board, or an agency of the county, but the speaker shall not argue with another speaker directly. Any speaker may present an opposite view, but not in personal terms. A person wishing to speak shall raise his or her hand and be recognized by staff, by the chair conducting the hearing. After being recognized, the speaker shall state his or her name and address before proceeding with his or her comment. The chairperson may limit the duration of any presentation to the time necessary to cover factual information. Repetition by a speaker shall be avoided. No person shall violate any of these rules set forth. Whoever violates any such rules shall first be warned by the chairperson to cease and desist from such violation. In the event that such person does not cease and desist, he or she may be ordered by the chairperson to leave the hearing. And that ends the rules for today's hearing.
Thank you. And I just want to point out that we did receive a lot of support, and I think that's great. I appreciate it. I will somewhat confused, I think, about the fact that this proclamation has not been approved yet. There was a vote taken on it last Thursday. It was approved. This public hearing and public input is mainly to allow people to show their support for it, or if they're opposed to it, that as well. So again, we'll open the public hearing at this point. There is a 5-minute limit. Oh yes.
Mr. Chair, I would, being we passed the proclamation, would you read it to the record and then make the comments?
Yeah, I can read it first. Let me get to it. Okay, so the proclamation reads: before the Board of County Commissioners, State of Oregon, County of Jackson, in the matter of proclaiming Jackson County's opposition to the continued restrictions related to the coronavirus emergency imposed on the residents and businesses of Jackson County. And this is order number 75-21. So whereas the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Jackson County has been, is, and continues to be the primary consideration of the Jackson County Board of Commissioners, and whereas the restrictions imposed on Jackson County related to COVID-19, including mandatory lockdowns, business closures, and all of the other restrictions, have had a severely detrimental effect on the health, safety, and welfare of Jackson County, including its economic vitality, the mental health of its residents, and overall quality of life in Jackson County. And whereas the Board of Commissioners for Jackson County recognizes that SARS-CoV-2, the virus which causes COVID-19, is a contagious virus, and contagious viruses exist throughout the world. And whereas science has shown over the last year that the virus which causes COVID-19 is overwhelmingly survivable, and whereas Jackson County and its residents have worked tirelessly and diligently to effectively respond to the COVID-19 state of emergency, and whereas data and real-life observations are mounting nationwide and science is indicating the lockdown measures, business closures, and other similar restrictions related to COVID-19 do not have a significant impact in reducing the transmission of the COVID-19. And whereas, in fact, many states have experienced a leveling off and reduction in the number of infections after ending mandatory lockdowns, business closures, and other similar restrictions. And whereas statewide hospitalization numbers recently have been used by the governor as a metric to trigger the imposition of restrictions for the extreme risk category in Jackson County, including significant risk restrictions on businesses and the activities of the residents of and visitors to Jackson County. And whereas despite the overall statewide hospitalization numbers, Jackson County's local hospitals and healthcare system are not overwhelmed with COVID-19 cases, and COVID-19 cases create no imminent threat of scarcity of hospital capacity nor medical resources. And whereas vaccination numbers in Jackson County continue to rise and have greatly mitigated the risks in the populations of those most vulnerable to the severe outcomes, including hospitalization and death, and thus indicate that the local hospitals and healthcare system are extremely unlikely to ever become overwhelmed by COVID-19 cases in the future. And whereas many businesses in Jackson County have already closed their doors permanently as a result of the governor's ongoing restrictions on their operations imposed by the governor related to COVID-19, and the administrative fines and citations used to enforce those restrictions. And whereas many more businesses in Jackson County are on the brink of permanent closure due to the ongoing restrictions on their operations imposed by the governor related to COVID-19, creating a fiscal emergency and a devastated local economy. And whereas too many residents in Jackson County continue to face an ongoing economic emergency with the uncertainty in their ability to provide for themselves, their families, and the community due to the extreme negative impact on employment opportunities caused by the COVID-19 related restrictions on business and the community. And whereas the citizens of Jackson County are fully capable of making private individual health care and lifestyle decisions for themselves and their families. And whereas the governor's lockdown and masking mandates are also actively creating division and unrest with the increased potential of physical violence within our community, as those of one opinion are encouraged by it to impose their opinions over the free will of those of another in a physical way. And we are obligated to address and prevent crime. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Jackson County proclaims Jackson County is in an ongoing crisis due to the impacts on the economy and mental health, and the increase in crime caused by the ongoing state of emergency declarations related to COVID-19 and the risk category restrictions and Oregon Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, mandates and guidance imposed on the residents of Jackson County. The county will continue to communicate with the governor's office with the goal of addressing the impacts of this crisis, including, but not limited to, never again imposing the extreme risk category restrictions in Jackson County, removing all other mandatory restrictions imposed in Jackson County, ensuring that in the future all COVID-19 related mandates are strictly voluntary in the nature of compliance. The county will support legislation which provides full compensation by the state of Oregon to business owners who have had their businesses impacted by the restrictions related to COVID-19 imposed by the governor and the state of Oregon in Jackson County. The county will support legislation which provides full compensation by the state of Oregon to the residents of Jackson County who have had their income impacted by the restrictions related to COVID-19 imposed by the governor and the state of Oregon in Jackson County. The county will support legislation that limits the duration and extent of the governor's emergency powers during the current and future emergencies. The county will share this proclamation with other Oregon cities and counties and media outlets. Dated on this 6th day of May, 2021 at Medford, Oregon, and the Jackson County Board of Commissioners, signed by Rick Dyer, myself, the chair, Dave Dodderer, and Colleen Roberts. So that is the proclamation. So we will then open the public hearing. And again, 5-minute limits. I will give a 15-second warning. If you have Carol, please give your name and address for the record and start when you're ready.
Again, I'm still Dr. Carol Lowe of Ashland, Oregon, and I truly appreciate that the commissioners have seen fit to produce and sign this proclamation. I think it's very, very important. And again, I do understand that there is some counter argument in existence, but it's been very clear for some months that COVID is endemic in the population and really does not pose any significant risk population-wide at this point. And I think it's very, very important that our county take a stand in support of businesses who are in dire need, of parents who can't work because their kids aren't able to go to school because they aren't able to wear a mask. That I think it's incredibly important that our county take a stand and recreate an environment of freedom so that people can get back to living their lives. The shutdown has caused an unbelievable perception of neighbors being enemies of one another, where people turn a business into OSHA thinking that they're doing right, but they're putting a neighbor at risk of not having an income. And this kind of pitting neighbors against neighbors is entirely too reminiscent of pre-Nazi Germany for my comfort. And I'm looking forward to it ending, because Ashland is frankly no longer a pleasant place to live. And I had never, ever planned to leave here, but if it doesn't break open, I will be forced to. Thank you again, commissioners, and I do hope we see a day of freedom once again in our state.
Thank you.
Hi there. Good morning. Cassidy Burns, Central Point. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for stepping up in the right direction here. We've all been praying for this. We've all been working for this. Again, I'm part of a lot of these groups out there that are taking action, stepping up. I do feel like we have a lot of work to do. I think this is just the first step in the right direction. But I hope we can all kind of keep our focus here. A lot of good things are said today. A lot of good things are said every Wednesday. But there are a lot of things going on that I don't know if this is going to address. I mean, this is amazing, and thank you for reading it. Again, I read through it, but it was nice hearing it out loud. I mean, just for example, my daughter at a sport practice last night, in her fencing group, the head coach lines them up and asks for a roll call of who's been has their first vaccine, who has their second vaccine, and announces that they won't have to wear masks if they're vaccinated. This is going on in schools. We've already seen it in workplaces. Our maskless women's group has thousands of people in it. People are quitting their jobs, losing their jobs. And so I just wanted to get on and point out some of the things that are happening despite our call for change. And thank you so much for stepping up. Again, we do have this army of people that are supporting you. We're excited. We're willing to fight for Oregon. And I think we've got to remember that a lot of these other things are going on as well. So it's just me hopping on really quick today, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Gunter. Hi, Gunter again, Cave Junction. Yeah, thank you. That's a great proclamation. I really appreciate what you're doing. I'm hoping that Josephine County will follow your lead on it. I think it was a declaration that they did. But it didn't quite hold water. It was just kind of a smoothing over. So yours has a lot more teeth in it, but it would be better, of course, if it was a declaration or an ordinance. But I'm sure you'll probably be getting to that. One point of information, the free scientific community is really going after internationally against the whole lack of evidence that has been produced of the actual CoV-2 virus. So the CDC, the WHO, the European CDC, none of them have produced evidence of a clinical specimen of the CoV-2 virus, okay? And it has not been isolated or cured under the golden standard of virology itself. Okay, and so if you, how shall I say, confirm that there is, you as a body, you do not have all of the evidence that you confirm the actual CoV-2 virus. We understand that there is an illness that is going around that is subscribed to being COVID-19 or from this virus, but there is no clinical evidence at its source for these claims. So I just wanted to make that clear. And I can, again, produce you with all of the documentation and the science that is behind all of this and the scientists. Thank you very much for doing a great job on the proclamation.
Hi, you guys. It's Megan Turk from Central Point.
Good morning.
Good morning. I know I wasn't going to hop on and talk, and everybody says that, but this is going to be really quick. I feel like more people need to be hopping on here and thanking you guys. So I did want to thank you for the proclamation. Like everyone is saying, I 100% believe that it is a step in the right direction, and we really, really, really appreciate you guys. Okay. So I just wanted to hop on here to encourage you guys to keep pushing back, to keep supporting us in our fight against this, and to really join us. With the governor's announcement yesterday announcing that until 70% of Oregonians have received their first COVID-19 vaccine, that she's not going to be loosening restrictions. And if you read the fine print, even when that happens, people still have to wear masks and they still have to social distance. So even then, really nothing's going to change, and she's going to keep pushing that benchmark, and I think we all know that. But I just wanted to encourage you guys just to keep pushing. And we are, I'm part of I'm representing the Maskless Women of Southern Oregon. We have 5,000 people in our group now, and we've been really involved, and we've been growing pretty rapidly because clearly there's a need for this. And, we're going to be, I know you guys probably saw on the news that rally that happened last week on Thursday, and just know that was not to try to convince anybody. That rally was just for the people, because people need to unite, they need to multiply, they need to know that they're not alone in this. And we're going to, Amy had mentioned that we were talking about doing that bi-weekly and growing even more. That was a rally that was put together on the fly within like 4 days, and we had over 500, some people are saying 1,000 people there. And so we're going to continue to do that and try to build even more momentum and really gather and unite people. And again, this is not to try to convince Medford City Council, it's not trying to convince you guys. This is solely for the people, but I do want to encourage you guys to be a part of that and to speak at our rallies, because we're gonna start making it a little bit more organized. We're gonna have speakers, and it would be so amazing if our leaders could get up and actually speak to the people. You guys do these Zoom calls every single week, and people need face-to-face. They need belly-to-belly. And so when we put these on, and there's thousands of people in this valley that are going to be fighting and standing up against this. I just want to encourage you guys to stand behind us and to get really loud about it, okay? And to continue to do what you're doing, and to not let up. And just want you to know that we do stand behind you. We really do. And we really want to thank you for this step in the right direction. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I was booted for a second, so I didn't know what happened. I'm back. So do we have anybody else waiting to speak on the public hearing?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. One more second here, just so we don't miss anybody. Okay. With that, we will close the public hearing. There is nothing to deliberate on, of course, since this has already been passed, but I would invite the commissioners if they have any comments to make before we move forward. Yes, Commissioner Roberts, looks like you're ready.
Yeah, I just want to say the reason we read this in a public hearing forum is so we could hear from people, and it wouldn't preclude public comment as if it just been read on the agenda. So that was the purpose of it, and we did get hundreds of email. People may be working and doing their jobs, but they were very active in getting their comments in on the proclamation. I don't know how many we received, hundreds, I would presume. So I thank everybody for taking the time early by emailing or today by speaking on the Zoom call. And sorry, it isn't in person. And it isn't a one and done. We are not done. This is one tool we had used to get our policy out, our stand out, and what we can do with it. And I've gotten comments from some of the cities. We did send it out to the cities that were very appreciative of the stand, and I hope they join the fight as well at every level for our citizens, for our freedom, and for our businesses.
Mr. Dodder, that's comment.
Yeah, no, I have no comments. And just thanks for all that input. I appreciate that very, very much. And Colleen, you're absolutely right. Hundreds of emails. You saw that.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't count the number, but there were lots and lots of them. And interestingly, I believe I had one email that was not in favor of us passing the proclamation. I believe there was one. So overwhelming support, which we appreciate, and I think we kind of anticipated, because we have been since the very beginning. And one of the biggest criticisms I've heard is that it's just not out there for public consumption. And we do try to get this information to you. Disseminating to everyone in this county is difficult, but those efforts have been ongoing since the beginning, and absolutely there is no intention to let up. In fact, we're going to hopefully build momentum. Continuing with the meetings that I'm able to, as the chair, attend with the governor and their staff. I tend to be known as somebody who occupies and monopolizes the time for questions there, but that's okay. If they let me, as long as they don't cut me off, I'm going to do it. But we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to look for ways to combat the policies with common sense, because there's a whole lot of ways to combat these with good common sense and reasonable arguments that have to be listened to, especially when we get the voices of people behind us, which we've been trying to do. Make that point as loudly and as universally as we can. But we will continue, and we have been all along, and we appreciate again the hundreds of people that have come forward to let us know that they will fight with us, and that definitely is vital and very much appreciated. So thank you. Yeah, Dave.
I did receive also one email from someone who disagreed with the proclamation, and I called her, and we had a very pleasant conversation, and we agreed to disagree. I mean, it just was that, and it was we each made our points. We had a very nice discussion. I will also say that one of the things that I was asked, and I did send it out, was again, I think a lot of people don't realize that the Association of Oregon Counties had that letter, and that all three of us signed that letter, and I actually sent that to someone, a copy of it, and I also sent out the governor's response to that letter, and I know she's going to plan on forwarding that on social media, because again, that you can see how what that gives for our citizens. It gives you an idea of how these things are playing out, and how the interaction between the counties, for example, and the governor are working. But again, many people are not aware. I mean, they vaguely heard of some kind of a letter coming out of the county, the commissioners, but again, the impact of a letter signed by that many county commissioners from that many counties. So I just wanted to mention that.
So what I'll try to do, I'll make an effort to create a Facebook page that every single resident of Jackson County hits on, and that'll be the best way to disseminate. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be one way to do it. Anyway, we will then move on. Again, thank you for all of your input. Thank you for your support, and we will now move on.